I wove a daisy chain today beneath the old oak tree. Their petals white with yellow hearts reminded me of thee. You crown me with their summer blooms each May before the rain. But now my tear-string daisy's tight where love won't bloom again. Some flowers close before the dusk and sleep until the dawn. My daisies hum your song. Some flowers close before the dusk and sleep until the dawn. My daisies hum your song. My daisies hum your song. My fingers brush the ivory keys, their song so soft and true. Each chord recalled your quiet hands that taught my heart to bloom. Ivory keys, silent seas, you sail where shadows hum. I play your memory through the dusk until the night has come. Some melodies remain inside and never leave the heart. Thus where the wave was own my owns to then I'll love thee so. One Wednesday night you move the blare where last them opera bloom. All the times when made a back and nothing's to you. feather down grew cold last night. Its weight could not console. You wrapped it round my trembling frame and warmed my quiet soul. I tucked it tight beneath my chin. It seemed so soft and thin, but feathered down can't fill the space where love no longer spins. Your warmth still soothes my sleep, and even weather clear, my feather down grew cold last night. Its weight could not console. Your warmth still soothes my sleep, and then weather clear, but feather down grew cold last night. Its weight could not console. I stirred my oatmeal at first light, its warmth so soft and mild. You always sweetened it with cream and kissed me like a child. The kitchen hums with quiet sighs, its floorboards cold and thin, but oatmeal dawns can't fill the space where love has never been. Some mornings bloom with memories touch, then fade like fleeting dreams. Your dawn still hums my scene. cherry wood, it shines so deep and red. Each stroke recalls your quiet touch, the gentle words you said. Cherrywood dreams, silent streams, they flow through empty halls. I feel your shadow with each grain along these varnished walls.
All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna figure out how to. I just want to turn it down.
Cherrywood dreams, silent streams,
how's that?
they flow through empty halls.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for being here. It's good to be back. It's been like 5 years since I've done a stream. And I'm hoping to do this twice a week going forward. Just trying to get my tabs all in order right now, so I'm set up, ready to go. If you're just joining or you don't know who the hell I am, my name is Joe. On social media, I usually go by chitsmcgee. I started on TikTok a few years ago, kind of built a little bit of a crowd that wanted to watch me do horror stuff, and that kind of ballooned into a bunch of other things. The last few years I've been focusing mainly on music, writing a little bit, acted in a few movies, and over the last few years I've really started to dive into politics a lot more. Ever since... Oh, is it hard? Okay, hold on. I'll go ahead and just turn it off. How's that? Is that better? I'm still getting used to everything. Trying to figure it all out, you know? Perfect. Yeah, so I started diving in a lot more into politics, kind of around the time of Israel's onslaught of Gaza after October 7th, and it really kind of broadened my perspective. Not to say that I wasn't involved in politics or learning about politics or the ways of the world before that. Steadily been increasing my knowledge on the way that the government works and the way that the world works for years since like 2010 or so, after getting out of high school, deconstructing all of that propaganda that the United States has rammed down our throats over the last few years, or last few decades, I guess. Yeah, started out listening to NPR, had a little notebook, would write down words that I didn't understand or terms or abbreviations that I didn't know, and I would go and spend the time to learn about what those things are, how they affect my life, even if it is indirectly. As you can see, I am a white man. Oh boy, another white guy with a hot political take. But I promise, my goals, the things that I believe on, the things that I push for, I believe for everyone. So I'll get to a couple of core things that this stream will kind of focus on. Like I said, I'm hoping to go live twice a week, and hopefully if I can grow some of these numbers. I already had, I think, 2 people follow this morning, so thank you for that. but yeah, I'd really love to do this full time, talk to you guys about what's going on, educate myself while educating those that, may not have the time or have not thought about it in the past. So, couple core things I believe in. Clean water, air, food for everybody. I don't think that is a radical thing. I think that we should all be able to breathe clean air. We should have clean drinking water that comes straight out of our faucets. And our food isn't trying to kill us. I constantly hear about people going to other countries and eating bread and dairy and all these things that you might try and avoid in the United States because they make you sick. I personally have a lot of digestive issues. Currently going through a chronic flare-up right now, some stuff, but we're here. We're making it through. We got the medication. We got the health care. That brings me to my next point. Healthcare is a human right. I don't understand why this is so ridiculous. I mean, I do understand why it's such a ridiculous statement, and that's because of capitalism. All right. Why would we want to get rid of the profit motive? Why would we want to get rid of the capitalistic hellscape that allows shareholders and large corporations to make as much money as they physically can? That is the whole entire purpose of what this country, this world runs on. And to me, it is disgusting. So I would really like to change that. Housing is a human right. No ifs, ands, or about it. We all need housing. Around where I live personally, I have seen more and more people standing on the street corners, asking for whatever kind of help you can give. I usually drive around with a few bottles of water in my car just to hand out to people to, try and help keep them hydrated while they're on the street. I used to work for a company that was a non-profit restaurant. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but we did used to help a lot of homeless folks by feeding them every single day, and that was something that was really important to me. A big charity that I like to support is No Kid Hungry. I think obviously children need to eat, adults need to eat, children need to go to school. In order for that to happen, you have to have stable housing, and housing is a human right. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's for everybody across the board. Even if you don't agree with them, even if you don't like that person, it doesn't matter. They still need a place to live. You need a permanent residence to have any type of upward social mobility. Education. Education is a human right. Currently in this country, we have paywalled education. I think that is disgusting. It's has a purpose. If we can keep the electorate, the constituents in this country dumb and servile, they will vote against their best interest. It has been proven time and time again that people will do that. Not everybody has the time or the brain bandwidth or the wherewithal to sit down and look at policies and plans that government officials have, whether it be in their local or state or federal elections. If we keep education down, people vote against their best interests. This keeps people in power that don't deserve to be there, that shouldn't be there, that are, I don't know if you can see this here, the Antichrist. There's a lot of people that would gladly sell you out for a couple of bucks. Access to the speaking engagement arena, going and selling themselves as these bastions of hope when all they do is sell out their constituents, keep you poor, keep you servile, keep you in debt, keep you stupid, all this stuff. Some big things that I would like to help to advocate for on this channel with this stream. I do plan on, at some point in the future, trying to run for some form of public office. I think that, you know, the things I believe in and how passionate I am about making those things a reality with whatever little resources I have to put towards it. Some of the major things that are stopping any type of actual progress in this country are three things, in my opinion. And that's starting with repealing Citizens United. Citizens United was a Supreme Court case that was approved in, I think, 2008. Essentially gave corporations the power of voting with their money like a normal citizen. Essentially gave corporations individual voting power. They don't get to vote, but they get to influence our elections with their money. This led to a huge rise in lobbyists, big dark money, super PACs, corporate PACs, all the different stuff that you hear about, like, you know, Bernie Sanders railing against, or you know, AOC, some of these other progressive politicians who campaign on the fact that they do not take corporate PAC money. And I think that's really important. I think that's a major thing. If we can repeal Citizens United, I feel like that would change the way politics operate in this country, period, and would get us back on track to a more reflective government that is actively working for its citizens and not big money, not big corporations. So repeal Citizens United, number one thing. Number two, we need term limits on Supreme Court justices. Okay, these people are appointed for life by the president. They're not appointed by the president. The last 3 or 4 have been appointed by essentially the Heritage Foundation. And we will have a day where we go over the Heritage Foundation. They're also responsible for Project 2025, which I just heard the other day is close to 50% complete. They're not stopping. They won't stop until we stop them or do something to try and stop them from being able to quite literally run our government, run our country for us. They don't care about us. They care about their own individual their goals, and that is a theocratic fascist state based on the belief in Jesus Christ. It's very evangelical. It's very women don't deserve voting rights. It's very Civil Rights Act is bad. Heritage Foundation, not a good foundation. They sound fun. They sound fine. Heritage Foundation, right? That doesn't sound threatening. Very threatening. And that's another thing too, is when you look at some of these large foundations that are affecting change in the United States, they purposely name themselves things that don't sound threatening, so that you don't go after them, so that you don't look into them. We'll go over some other ones. I'll put together a list of some of the ones that we should look into. One of the last things that I think is really, really, really important, term limits on congresspeople. Okay, you have congresspeople like Nancy Pelosi, who has been in, she's about to leave, but has been in politics for like 50 years. Get the fuck out. This is crazy. We need to have strict term limits on congresspeople in the House of Representatives and the Senate, just like we do with the president. That did take a constitutional amendment to get in. I don't know if that would be needed for a House of Representatives or the Senate or Congress, or how that would work. I would imagine it would take some type of constitutional amendment to get that ratified, to get that going. And I will say, I'm very clear with you right now, I don't have a degree in poli-sci. I'm not an expert on anything. I'm just a dude who is pissed and has been pissed about what is going on. And I don't know how to shut the fuck up. So this is, I figured, what would be a perfect outlet for me to talk about things that are making me mad. I'm waking up every day looking at Twitter, looking at social media, and being like, what the fuck is happening in this fucking country, dude? It's in the world. It's driving me crazy. And the more I find out, it's always money. Money leads to power, and that is just consolidation, right? You have more money, you have more power, you are able to consolidate that power and keep it hoarded for yourself, right? The rise in billionaires. We've gone from, I think it was less than 100 billionaires existed when Obama was elected president. We have more than 2,000 billionaires in the United States alone. That's crazy. It might be the world. But either way, that's a huge explosion in concentrated and hoarded wealth. Now, when we think about billionaires too, these are not people that can go to their bank and they look at their bank statement and it says, I have $1 billion. A lot of their money is tied up in stocks, assets, the valuations of the companies that they own. So it's not necessarily that they have $1 billion, but they're able to use that as collateral. Hey, I have this much wealth. I'll use it as collateral or, the financial backing. I'll be able to borrow more money against the money I have, right? I watched a video a few years ago of Elon Musk saying, making $1 billion is just a series of phone calls. When you have the right connections, when you have the right collateral, when you have the right assets, you are able to build your wealth exponentially faster than anyone else, right? And the whole point is for that super elite wealthy class, the top 1%, as Bernie Sanders refers to. It's really the top 0.1%. 2,000 people are billionaires, and there's almost 8 billion people on this planet. So, very, very small margin of people. Kings, essentially, at this point. When you look back in a historical context, how many kings were there? Maybe a couple dozen at a time, right? But the amount of people who are indebted to those or kept in a poor position always outnumber the amount of the wealthy elites. So that's pretty much kind of where I'm coming from, things I believe in, things I want to see change, who I am, whatnot. I'll probably keep this VOD up on my Twitch page so people can watch it and get an idea of what's going on. So let's move on to some of the news things that I would like to talk about today. Obviously, feel free to jump in the chat, ask me any questions, propose any things that you would like to hear me talk about or research on the channel. Chat's wide open. I don't have any mods yet because, we're not very far in. But hopefully as the day grows, we're already up to 5 peeps hanging out. We're up to 20 followers. Awesome. Thanks, guys. My goal for today, I don't know if it shows on the screen. I'm still trying to figure everything out. My goal for today, I think, is 30. I'd love to get to 30 followers. So share the link, send it out to your friends, see if we can get some more people to come hang out. Jumping into the first thing, obviously, biggest news thing right now is the war in Iran. This is largely a distraction from the Epstein files, I think. A lot of people tend to agree with that assessment. But it also has... What up, Christine? Hello. Thanks for hanging out with me. The Epstein files. The Cold North. Hello, Winglord. How's it going? The Epstein files, right? They dominated the media landscape there for a hot minute. Then we go ahead and invade Iran, right? Anytime they start to get really overwhelming in the media, Trump finds some way to cause some huge distraction. The war in Iran is definitely serving as that right now. But there is a lot of other things that it is affecting, right? This is bringing in a lot of money for various oil-producing countries, and predominantly, and we'll go into more detail on this. I believe it's either Saudi Arabia or the UAE that is directly benefiting from this war the most. Iran sends a lot of its oil to China. China is benefiting from this as well, which is crazy because then you're like, well, isn't China our enemy, right? Not really. There is no real sense of enemy, right? There's this homogenous capitalist system that runs the world, and when one group of people benefits monetarily, a lot of other people benefit monetarily, right? So they frame it as this, versus kind of thing, when really, in all honesty, it's everybody's working together to make as much money as possible. But, according to Pete Hegseth and various commanders in our military, this is a fucking religious war. This is a holy war. That's crazy, right? When you think about is not real, they constantly proclaim this idea that this is the Holy Land. They are reclaiming their birthright to have this Holy Land that is guaranteed to them by God. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that. This is literally complete and utter bullshit. Zionism and the modern think of the Israeli government is to serve the Greater Israel Project, which is literally just land expansion. They want to take over Saudi Arabia. They want to take over Lebanon. They want to take over parts of Syria, Iraq, various Middle Eastern countries. They want for themselves, and this is to serve some type of biblical prophecy, right? So when the Greater Israel is reconfigured, rebuilt, Jesus will come back, right? It'll create Armageddon or some bullshit, and then there'll be 1,000 years of peace, and all the Christians will go to heaven, and there'll be Judgment Day and all this bullshit, right? It's literally a fucking fairy tale. And this is not to shit on anybody who's religious. If you're religious, totally fine. That's your choice. But once your religion starts infringing on my rights or the other people's rights to live, right? We're killing them because they don't believe in the same religion that our United States is run on, which is Christianity, largely Christianity. We try to have this separation of church and state, but it's not really a real thing. It's more of a hope and a dream, and kind of a slogan, the separation of church and state. I don't really see it, right? You have churches that don't pay any taxes. They get school vouchers to basically get money from the state, which is illegal, right? The United States is not supposed to give any type of private institution or religious institution any type of public funding. So we have a complaint, 200, and I'm sure there's probably more now because this story is a little bit old, but it's one of the ones that's been pissing me off the most. The Military Religious Freedom Foundation says it has been inundated with more than 200 calls from across dozens of military installations, including 110 complaints filed between Saturday morning and Monday evening. This is back on the 6th, so this is over a week ago, okay? Now, in the email, in the literal email, so let's go to the intercept, maybe. Oh, come on. Alright, I already did this on my phone, but it's going to make me do it again, huh? Anyway, this is my email. If anybody wants to send me an email, feel free. We're not going to give you any money in the intercept, but I do want to read this article. Okay. The email sent where is it? Hold on. There we go. So this is NCO email to the MRFF, right? That's the military, what we just said, the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, okay? Mr. Weinstein, thank you for taking my calls and the calls of some of my colleagues as to what happened earlier this morning with our combat unit. Please protect my identity and the identities of those I'm speaking for as we discussed. Our unit is not currently in the combat zone, AOR, regarding the Iranian attacks, but we are in ready support function where we could be deployed at any moment to join and augment the combat operations as participants, okay? I am an NCO, rank withheld in our unit. This morning, our commander opened up the combat readiness status briefing by urging us not to be afraid as to what is happening with our combat operations in Iran right now. He urged us to tell our troops that this was all part of God's divine plan. This is a military commander telling his unit that this is part of God's plan, God's divine plan. That is outrageous. And he specifically referenced numerous citations out of the book of Revelation referring to Armageddon and the imminent return of Jesus Christ. He said that President Trump has been anointed by Jesus to light the signal fire in Iran to cause Armageddon and to mark his return to earth. And you try and say that the United States is not a theocracy, right? That is absolute and utter fucking bullshit, right? We are definitely trying to move back towards a theocratic fascist state. You have influencers like Matt Walsh. You have Charlie Kirk before he lost the gun debate, and these people are promoting a sense of Christian identity, white Christian identity, for those living in the United States. If you don't follow that, you are an enemy of the state. And the president literally put out a kind of souped up executive order essentially stating that the intelligence community is able to collect data on anyone who is regularly espousing anti-capitalist, anti-Christian, and anti-white any type of sentiments on their public social media pages. That's fucking crazy. So we have this idea that we're supposed to be this not Christian nation, that we're supposed to be, that's supposed to be separate. Then you look at this. Okay, this is from March 2nd. This is Pete Hegseth in a conference talking about the recent attacks in Iran, right? They started on Saturday, February 28th. This is the Monday following. So this is him coming out and basically trying to defend the war. Now, one of the there's a lot of crazy parts from this what is this, an hour? No, 10 minutes. It's a 10-minute clip. We're not even going to watch the whole thing. We're just going to watch this one part where he immediately contradicts the supposed stance of the United States, right? Fucking crazy. You got Commander saying that. Just listen to what Pete Hegseth says.
President Trump has also been very consistent. Crazy regimes like Iran, hell-bent on prophetic Islamist delusions, cannot have nuclear weapons. It's common sense.
Okay. That clip alone got me banned on TikTok. For sharing that clip and talking about it, got me banned on TikTok, shadow banned on TikTok for about 6 days, I think. I couldn't post anything. Anytime I post a video, it'd get 0 views for hours and hours and hours and hours. That is just, I'm just sharing what our Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War, whatever the fuck you want to say, said in a fucking conference, in a press conference. He's literally saying Islamic countries can't have nuclear weapons because they believe in crazy prophetic conspiracies, when you have commanders in our own United States military saying that this is a holy war and Jesus is going to come back. Is that not crazy prophetic conspiracy, right? How is this allowed? How are we able to how is this happening? It's really been mind-blowing to me that everyone's just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. Now, Pete Hegseth, I don't know if everybody knows, but we'll talk about it a little bit here. He's got a couple of really interesting tattoos. He's got 2 tattoos on his right bicep. One on the bottom is, I believe it's pronounced kafir, Kafir. It means infidel. It means non-believer. And above it, he's got a Deus Vult tattoo, which means God wills it. Okay, so it's a neo-Nazi expression. It literally is kind of a neo-Nazi motto that the world will be white again. The world will be Christian. Okay, it's from the First Crusades, and the Crusades have a direct lineage to Nazi Germany from the 40s. The other tattoo he has on his chest is a type of Templar cross. Let's look it up. This guy right here, the Jerusalem cross. Okay. Also tied to white supremacy, white nationalism, ultra-Orthodox Christianity, bullshit, stuff like that. Not necessarily like actual Orthodox Christianity, but essentially that Christianity should be and is the dominant religion of the world. Now, we have from the Cradle. This is a pretty decent news source, and they came out with an article further talking about this. As first reported by independent journalist Jonathan Larson, a U.S. combat unit commander told non-commissioned officers that the war in Iran is part of God's divine plan, allegedly claiming President Donald Trump was anointed by Jesus to ignite Armageddon. The complaint filed with the Military Religious Freedom Foundation is one of more than 110 logged within 48 hours. From over 40 units across at least 30 installations, complaints include Christians, Muslim, and a Jew have requested anonymity to avoid retaliation. The Pentagon has yet to respond. According to MRFF President Mikey Weinstein, service members report unrestricted euphoria among segments of the chain of command portraying the assault on Iran as biblically sanctioned and tied to end times prophecy in the book of Revelation. One NCO wrote that such rhetoric is eroding morale and violating constitutional oaths, particularly for troops in ready support status who could be deployed at any moment. Controversy unfolds as Secretary of War Pete Hegseth expands over evangelical programming within the Pentagon, including prayer sessions, monthly prayer sessions, and Bible studies aligned with staunch pro-Israel theology. That is happening within our Pentagon right now. They are quite literally turning our military into a theocratic fighting machine. Okay? Weinstein reports that many U.S. commanders appear particularly enthused by the prospect of an intensely violent confrontation, emphasizing how much bloodshed they believe is necessary to align events with a fundamentalist Christian end times narrative. This is crazy to me. This blows my mind that this is being allowed to happen. A few months ago, I don't know how long ago, I forgot, but essentially, the Pentagon has kicked out all news organizations and reporters that didn't sign a waiver stating that any information they release from the Pentagon, right, in whatever type of journal or news format that they publish in, they have to get it approved by the Pentagon before they can release any information. So just imagine how much information is not being released from the Pentagon. How much stuff we don't know about what's happening. Okay? So, let's take a little detour, right? We're still talking about the war in Iran because Iran has been attacking other Middle Eastern states and countries around it, but primarily they have been attacking military sites or sites that they believe are harboring military targets. So they have hit some civilian infrastructure, including hotels, apartment buildings, various types of business buildings that are kind of situated in residential or kind of, your main citizenry areas, right? So this does cause casualties that are not militarily related. That's not good, right? We don't want that to happen. We don't want any of this to happen. But the way it's been portrayed in the news is that Iran is just attacking everybody. It's just attacking all of these countries around it, when in reality, it's attacking U.S. military bases that are in these countries. Kuwait, Bahrain, Lebanon, or not Lebanon, Israel, obviously. What was the other one? Qatar. One of the biggest military bases in the Middle East is in Qatar. And they destroyed like a $1.1 billion radar station in one of the most important military bases, besides our unsinkable aircraft carrier Israel, right? So, let's look at a couple more things that are going on. So this is from yesterday. If you don't follow Courtney Bonneau, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. She is great. She is a war correspondent. She is an independent war correspondent. She does not work for any of these huge... I don't know if you can hear that. Can you guys hear that? They're currently doing the lawn work outside of my house. They usually come on Mondays, which is why I picked Tuesdays and Fridays for these. But I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get here earlier this week or whatever. I don't fucking know. But anyway, she is independent. Okay, when you are only a tad. Okay, perfect. You need to know who you're getting your news from. Okay. Another thing we'll be talking about too is the largest merger of communications companies like CNN, CBS. All of these are owned by the same family, the Ellisons. Okay, they also own TikTok, which is another reason why a lot of people that are putting things on TikTok are being suppressed, myself included. If you are not towing the government line that we support unconditionally Israel, that anything that the United States does in any of these types of war situations is completely sanctioned, and anyone who fights back or retaliates is immediately wrong, right? There was an interview on CNN the other day where they were literally talking, or it might even been MS Now, which used to be MSNBC. They were talking to one of the head officials from Iran and being like, why are you attacking these military sites? But they didn't even say military sites. Why are you attacking your neighboring countries during the month of Ramadan? I don't know. Maybe because our country's being fucking bombed to smithereens. Maybe because these other countries are working directly with the United States government, and this is an effective way to cripple them in our region and to keep ourselves afloat right now, not being completely inundated by the largest military force that the world has ever fucking seen, right? And And you're going to see that in media. It's literally going to be biased towards the United States. We are the most propagandized country on the planet. We literally eat whatever they say whenever they fucking say it, right? To justify whatever they want to do. And they will do this thing called manufactured consent. Noam Chomsky, not a great guy, not a perfect guy, but he did write a book called Manufacturing Consent, which is very real. It's a very real thing that the United States government does, right? We create these situations where we feel like we have to go in, and it might be one thing that we believe as United States citizens. It's a completely different reason that the government is going in, but they're going to sell us on these talking points. So, anyway, this is from yesterday. She's speaking with a Hezbollah media officer. If you don't know what Hezbollah is, it is the one of the main political parties or kind of political resistance groups in Lebanon. Okay, they have historically been tied to and related to, supported by Iran, and they also work with Hamas, which is the, as Israel likes to put it, the democratically elected political organization that essentially runs Palestine. It's not true at all. Hamas was elected in 2005, and then Israel took away their right to have elections. So they voted in this astroturfed political organization that literally was funded by Israel, right, in kind of like a false flag situation, to come to power, and then took away their ability to get rid of them when they started doing essentially like war crimes, right? Even if you do support Palestine, Hamas has done horrible, bad, negative things. I would say that October 7th, while it was horrible, right? It killed lots of people. No one should have to die for their government, period, right? We have more than enough resources in this world and on this earth to take care of everybody comfortably. There's no reason for anyone to die for their state. We should all be able to live peacefully within our own cultures. But they have done shitty, fucked up shit. And I would say that their attack on Israel on October 7th definitely put the people of Palestine in a worse position, not a better one. It essentially manufactured consent for Israel and the United States to come in and completely destroy Gaza, right? And it's now even being used as a threat. Oh, you don't want to look like Gaza. You don't want to be flattened like Gaza. I'm pretty sure, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, the amount of munitions that have been dropped on Gaza alone, and the people living in Palestine, is close to 4 to 5 nuclear weapons worth of munitions. There are side-by-side videos of before the war, after the war, and it is completely rubble. I mean, they just completely destroyed the entire place. Anyway, okay, so back to this video. Let's watch Courtney talk to this Hezbollah media officer.
Where I'm talking to Haj Salman Harb. Haj Salman, thank you for talking to us. What do you have to say?
أهلا وسهلا بكم في جنوب لبنان، جنوب نهر الليطانة. نحن اليوم قاربنا على مدة 10 أيام من الحرب. بعد هذه الأيام لا زالت المقاومة تستبسل عند الحافة الأمامية، ويعجز العدو الإسرائيلي عن إجراء أي اختراق بري حقيقي في مدينة الخيام ببنت جبال وفي القطاع الغربي، وحيث استطاعت المقاومة أن تسقط المسيرات عدد 2، أن تدمر الدبابات. وبالتالي نحن أمام معركة استطاعت فيها المقاومة أن تعيد شيء من السيادة وشيء من الكرامة إلى لبنان، حيث أرادت السلطة السياسية أن تبيع هذه الكرامة بالتنازلات وبالتسويات. يعمد العدو الإسرائيلي للتعويض عن الضعف في المعركة العسكرية وانتصاره في المعركة العسكرية، يعمد إلى التجزير، ارتكاب المجازر بالمدنيين، تدمير المنازل بطريقة عشوائية لأنه ليس لديه أهداف عسكرية حقيقية. وبالتالي نحن أمام تدمير همجي بمحاولة كي وعي للمواطنين اللبنانيين وبمحاولة فك الارتباط بين البيئة الحاضنة للمقاومة والمقاومة. إن شاء الله تعالى تاريخيا كان أهل الجنوب وأهل المقاومة دائما منتصرين منذ الدولة العثمانية إلى الانتداب الفرنسي والاحتلال الإسرائيلي الآن. عام 2024 انتصرنا، بال2006 انتصرنا، بال2000 حررنا، بال96 و93 وغيرها من المعارك. إن شاء الله تعالى بصمود الناس، بصبر الناس، بتضحيات المجاهدين والشهداء منتصرون هذه المرة إن شاء الله تعالى.
Thank you very much.
أهلا وسهلا.
So, he's just kind of explaining what they're attacking. They're not attacking military sites, right? They attacked in Beirut. This is a building in downtown Beirut that they attacked yesterday.
Nulle part, peu importe si nous sommes en zone rouge ou pas. Et vous le voyez, large explosion à l'instant. On a vu le missile frapper directement cet immeuble. Les frappes donc se poursuivent à l'instant. Voyez.
Okay. They attacked a school. This is a Lebanese National Public University in Beirut was attacked yesterday. They killed director of the Faculty of Science, Dr. Hussein Bazi, and Dr. Murtada Sorar. They're not just killing people, they are erasing knowledge and attacking the future of Lebanon. Right? What did I say earlier? Protecting education protects the electorate, protects the future. If you get rid of education, if you get rid of the ability for people to educate themselves in their own country, you keep them stupid, you keep them from resisting. Right? This is the director of the Faculty of Science. One of Lebanon's most eminent physicists, killed by Israel alongside the director of the Faculty of Sciences at the Lebanese. This is Murtada. So Murtada and Hussein. They are not attacking military sites, right? They are attacking civilian infrastructure. In Lebanon. Lebanon has not launched any attacks on Israel. Okay? None that were from a oppressive, aggressive standpoint. Okay? The only time they have attacked Israel is in retaliation to aggressive forward attacks by Israel. All right. Now let's look at this. Not only has Israel displaced close to or over 1 million people in Iran, they've now displaced 800,000 people in Lebanon. And I believe they have attacked, last numbers I saw was over 600. Almost 700 people have died, including almost 100 children in Lebanon. And when I said earlier, the Greater Israeli Project, right, that is to take over this land, to take it for Israel, to expand Israel to this larger biblically prophetic land of Israel, Israelites, which is not actually a thing in the Bible, like I said. Where is the? I think was it this one. Here's a tweet from Shanky Uger. Of course, plan all along was to use the Iran war as an excuse to occupy southern Lebanon and expand their territory. This is what they do every time. Claim self-defense, kill the locals, ethnically cleanse the area, then add to Greater Israel while pretending to be the victim. Okay. So, you're like, but, I've never heard of the Greater Israel Project. Is this really a thing? Is this really what they're trying to go for, right? And you're going to constantly hear in the media them deny this. Greater Israel Project is not a thing. If you talk about it, that's anti-Semitic. it's a conspiracy theory. It's put forward by absolute racists, right? This is a interview from August 13th of 2025 with I forget what this guy's name is. It's from channel I-24 in Israel. Okay, war crimes fugitive Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu reaffirmed his embrace of Greater Israel, a revisionist Zionist ideology envisioning Israel control over all occupied Palestinian territories, plus parts of Jordan, Egypt, Lebanon, and Syria. He and Saudi Arabia and Iraq. He has said he feels very connected to his vision and called his role a historic and spiritual mission. Now, this is a video of this guy essentially giving him a kind of like, I guess, like a medal or like a tchotchke that is the map of Greater Israel. And the map of Greater Israel also shows up on IDF war patches that they wear on their uniforms. Not every single one, but a lot of them do, and they have shown up quite a bit.
תגיד, התחזקת קצת?
אני מקווה שאני תמיד חזק, אם אתה מתכוון...
ברמה הרוחנית.
ברמה הרוחנית, אתה יודע, כשאתה מגיע למבחנים האלה, אתה שואל תמיד השאלה, מדוע, מה אתה עושה כאן? מה אנחנו עושים כאן? אנחנו כאן בשליחות של דורות. יש דורות של יהודים שחלמו שנגיע לכאן, ויש דורות של יהודים שיבואו אחרינו. אז אתה שואל אם אני מרגיש שאני בשליחות היסטורית ורוחנית, התשובה היא כן.
אני לא רוצה לסבך אותך לסיום עם תיק 6000, אבל...
מה זה?
זה הוויז'ן שלי, זה אחד הדברים שחלמתי עליהם, מפת הארץ המובטחת.
יפה.
הגיע הזמן, קוראים לזה ירושלם. אני לא נותן את זה לך, אני מעניק את זה לך כדי שתיתן את זה לרעתך שרה.
תודה רבה.
אתה מתחבר לחזון?
מאוד.
באמת?
מאוד.
זה ישראל השלמה.
There you go. That is the Prime Minister, the war criminal, the ICC and ICJ war criminal that they have literal warrants out for his arrest. He can't fly over certain European countries because they said they will force his plane down and they will arrest him. Okay? This is him saying that he believes in the Greater Israel Project. So, they will be slowly consolidating land in all of these countries and trying to work towards this biblical prophecy. So, tying it all back in, this is a holy war. This is literally, we're like back in the fucking medieval times. This is like crusade style shit. But now we're doing it with tomahawk missiles, thermobaric bombs, endless amounts of magazines of bullets, phosphorus rounds, all different kinds of shit. So, something to be aware of, something to be focused on. Now, I will say, I don't know if I like seeing how many viewers are in here, because I've seen people kind of come and go when I start to mention certain topics. And right now we're down to 2. The highest we had today was 6. I was pretty happy with that. And we're up to 21 followers, so thank you to the other person who followed the channel. I appreciate it. And for the 2 that are still sticking around, I appreciate you sitting here listening to me yammer on about the Holy War. We'll move on from this subject, and we'll go to literally one of the biggest pieces of legislation that the Senate has passed in an affordability bill in 30 fucking years. Okay, everybody's talking about how it's impossible to buy a home if you live in the United States. You are a millennial. You are part of Gen Z or anything like that. Being able to afford a house is increasingly difficult without direct help from your parents or some type of generational wealth. And that is largely has to do with private equity. Okay, private equity has been buying up a lot of homes, single-family homes, and renting them back out to people at exorbitant rates that they cannot afford. There's a video that I'd like to watch too about how they are buying up plots of land that people are building tiny homes on in order to get them in with an introductory low rent, and then immediately a year or whatever in, spike that rent up 2 to 3 times. Okay? But let's go ahead and look at this. Breaking, the Senate has passed, this is also from yesterday, the Senate has passed the biggest housing funding affordability bill in 30 years, and it includes a ban on investors buying single-family homes. The bill passed 89 to 10. Okay, we don't have this kind of agreement on much in our Congress. So it was nice to see this. Now, it's not perfect, okay? And it has to go to the House, which it's going to see a good amount of changes come to it. It is going to be modified even more. I hope they don't water it down too much, okay? But in the legislation, investors are considered individuals or corporate entities which already own 350 homes or more. Okay, so like this guy says down here, so the company just has to form subsidiary 1 to 100 that owns 350 homes each. I was hoping for a barrier larger than 15 minutes of paperwork. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. But they are making a good step towards what we would need in this country in order to get housing back on track, okay? Bill would target housing affordability by giving local governments incentives to make it easier for companies to build single-family homes. Ban on investors, get out of here. Bans on investors buying single-family homes as being pushed by President Trump, but home building groups and some lawmakers oppose the restriction, of course. Senate Majority Leader Steve Scalise from Louisiana told lawmakers the bill will need to go through further negotiations and changes before House passage. Okay, so like I said, there's going to be a lot of changes, things that are happening. I'm going to play this video, and I gotta go pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Hey guys, well, the Senate has now passed a bipartisan housing affordability bill designed to increase supply and what they hope will decrease cost. And that does include that ban on private equity, institutional investors, and major companies from buying single-family homes if they already own 350 or more. Now, what happens next with this bill is a huge question mark. We know President Donald Trump has wanted this bill, has pushed for this bill, but that ban on institutional investors buying single-family homes is causing headaches. We know that over the last couple days when Republicans were down in Miami for their retreat and closed-door sessions, you had members of House leadership saying that they were not going to swallow this Senate bill and that they needed to make additional changes that have been concerning for a number of lawmakers as well as those in the industry. So we'll have to see if they wind up making further changes to this or if Trump decides to come in and sort of really put the pressure on lawmakers to move the bill the Senate has just passed. I mean, again, it's very notable how bipartisan this entire process has been, how quickly this has moved. This legislation probably stands the best chance of getting to Trump's desk, but it's a huge question right now how they're going to overcome this final hurdle.
We have breaking news down in Washington on the Hill. Emily Wilkins has that for us. Em, tell us more.
Hey, Scott. Well, the Senate has now failed to advance a measure that would keep a good chunk of the government funded after Friday at midnight. But we do know that there is a plan B in the works. We know that Senate Democrats have been meeting with Trump's White House to try to figure out a path forward. We've heard one potential thing to do might be to move there. Remember, there are 6 funding bills in this package. Move the 5 with strong bipartisan support and then just do a very short-term bill that would just fund the DHS, maybe for only a couple weeks, while lawmakers tried to work out longer-term reforms. Now, that's not official at this point, but we do know that discussions and negotiations are ongoing. Of course, timer's ticking down at this point. You've got less than 48 hours until we would officially be in a shutdown. There is hope that if we're in a shutdown position over the weekend, that it would be very short-lived. But of course, that's going to require the White House and Democrats to get on the same page. And while there's some optimism around that, we haven't seen a deal yet.
Okay, so I guess I was gone longer than that first video going. So yeah, Senate on Thursday passed the largest housing affordability bill in 30 years. 50 faces upward battle. Steve Scalise, blah, 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 blah. One of the biggest issues is a ban on investors and companies from buying single-family homes if they already own 350 or more. So like that comment said, essentially all they'd have to do to get around it is basically just build shell companies, right? These more companies that are owned by a bigger corporation, and they'll probably introduce some type of wording in the legislation that will allow them to do that. Essentially be like, oh, well, you know, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's company, can own all these subsidiary companies that own 350 houses apiece. So it's not going to completely eliminate it, right? That's a big issue still, but it will make it harder for them. Anything's better than nothing. You know what I mean? Housing has become such an issue in this country that it is increasingly more impossible for anyone to own a house. So I'd like to go back to More Perfect Union here for a second because I want to see if the video that I watched yesterday was up. I'd love to show you guys this video. Okay, so it's a little long. It's like 14 minutes, but it is insanely informational about what is happening and how these private equity companies are essentially destroying our country, okay?
When the place you come home to becomes a war zone, it doesn't feel good.
Nobody gives two fucks about what's going on with your house. Nobody cares if you're sick. They don't care about any of that as long as they're selling houses.
The top home builders in America are making Wall Street investors rich, but you are paying the price.
What people are willing to do frightens me in the name of profit.
Companies like D.R. Horton, Lennar, and Pulte are the largest home builders in America.
Hey, don't buy that D.R. Horton house.
When we first bought the home 2 months later, our son's playroom was covered in mold.
This has been the biggest nightmare of my entire life, and I wouldn't wish this on anybody.
Not only have these home builders been building worse homes, but they've also been playing a role in raising the prices of homes across the country.
The housing market is actually seeing the highest, most expensive homes in more than decades.
As home builders have pushed prices out of reach for many buyers, they've also created a new dystopian model. Build entire communities to sell directly to Wall Street landlords.
Is it good?
You'll own nothing and be happy.
The question for us now is, are we going to allow that to happen?
To understand how Wall Street has been slowly killing the single-family home, I went to Texas to investigate the biggest home builder in America, D.R. Horton. What I found not only explains why many Americans can't buy homes until their 40s, but also serves as a warning for what's to come. D.R. Horton currently builds about 1 out of every 7 new homes in America. And last year they made $4.4 billion for their shareholders. That market dominance gives D.R. Horton the power to dictate how homes are priced and sold through 5 tactics that maximize their profit while pushing the cost onto you. The first tactic, incentivize. In 2023, Sarah and Eric Munoz bought a D.R. Horton home in San Antonio. And at first it looked like a great deal.
When we came across the D.R. Horton home, the model looked good. It seemed like a slam dunk.
One of the things that the salesman did push was we'll be able to give you these discounts and, special perks like the fridge or the washer and dryer.
All those enticing incentives are par for the course with D.R. Horton.
Incredible pricing, incredible incentives.
We're D.R. Horton. Of course we're going to pay up to $10,000 in closing costs.
You could have a mortgage payment of $19.50 a month versus $22.50 a month.
Last year, 81% of all D.R. Horton home sales went through their own mortgage department, which has access to cheaper Wall Street capital than most lenders. But this sleight of hand is actually inflating home prices across the market. Stay with me while we do some math. For a $2,000 monthly payment at 6% interest, you can probably get a home in the $300,000 range. But if you get a 4% rate from D.R. Horton, you may be able to get a house that's in the $400,000 range. These incentives seem like a good deal for buyers, and shareholders love them too.
Can you discuss what you're seeing in the market? And
6% is fucking outrageous too, by the way. 6% is nuts for a home interest rate. Not good. Not a good rate.
in terms of home prices?
We focus predominantly on incentives where we can, and that's allowed us to maintain a lot of our base pricing across the country.
To translate that corporate speak, because of their incentives, D.R. Horton can keep home prices higher than they actually are. Then those inflated numbers enter real estate databases and can push home prices higher, even beyond D.R. Horton's own subdivisions. In response to my reporting, D.R. Horton said that these mortgage incentives make monthly payments more manageable for buyers, but did not answer my question about maintaining their base prices. And as homebuyers are paying more, they are often getting homes that are made as cheaply as possible, which brings us to tactic number 2, cut costs.
The home definitely had some issues right off the bat. The frame of the home was kind of set up like Jenga.
It basically just moved freely, which was horrific, because in my mind, I was like, oh, a gust of wind is taking this whole thing down.
The frame of the Muñoz's home is bad, but it gets worse.
Buy a D.R. Horton house, they said. I don't know if you can tell. That's mold.
Oh, it's everywhere!
You're on your 3rd shower replacement due to leaks and mold.
Over here, we've got the world's biggest crack in my foundation.
It's a D.R. Horton house.
Not only are some of these houses poorly built, but they are actually making people sick.
There's mold everywhere. I mean, the whole thing is just like riddled with mold. And my daughter had these nosebleeds that were so bad. She had blood tears, which was absolutely terrifying and insane. Never seen anybody have blood come out of their eyes unless they're having a literal aneurysm. It's really fun to have your 6-year-old ask you if they're going to die, and you legitimately don't have an answer for them because you don't know what the hell's going on.
After speaking with homeowners like Madeline, I asked D.R. Horton to comment on these recurring mold issues. They responded that they stand behind their homes with comprehensive warranties and a dedicated customer care team. It seems like it would be bad business to construct homes that make your clients sick, but that hasn't been the case for D.R. Horton. Last year, they spent $194 million on home repairs and litigation costs. That's a lot of money, for sure, but it's only about 4.5% of what their shareholders made in the same year.
On the stick and brick side, is there still opportunity to take more cost out? Where are you in the process of sort of clawing back some margin?
We believe there's still opportunity there.
Clawing back money to make the cheapest possible homes keeps profits high, but D.R. Horton has been using another tactic to deceive homebuyers across the country: manipulate monthly payments. A new class action lawsuit alleges that D.R. Horton has been intentionally deceiving homebuyers about their monthly payments to sell people more expensive homes. The Muñoz family experienced this firsthand. They had been paying about $1,000 a year in property taxes, and then it suddenly went up to $6,500 a year.
My mindset was, all I had to do was work a little more, maybe catch a second, third job.
I was very pregnant at the time, so it was just a lot for me to handle. I told my husband, I can't do this anymore.
It was not easy to come to the realization like we probably have to let go of the house that was sold to us as a dream.
The Muñoz family didn't know that buried in their contract was a notice that their monthly payments could go up.
They just kept flipping papers past us and they're like, sign here, sign this, do this, and very little explanation of anything.
The Muñoz's claim that the D.R. Horton agent didn't explain that the property taxes were assessed for a piece of land with no actual house on it. Then that number was built into the monthly payment to make it look like the house was within their budget, even though it wasn't.
This home that we came into in the beginning that was just picturesque, as we're loading everything up and driving away, it's just like leaving behind a nightmare in the distance.
Now plaintiffs across the country who experienced this alleged monthly payment suppression scheme are seeking RICO charges. Meanwhile, D.R. Horton and their main competitor, Lennar, are profiting from a different tactic: sell directly to investors. This Lennar home is going to be 661 square feet. And if you go onto Lennar's new investor portal, you can see exactly how much investors can make off of a home like this. To understand the impact of investors in these new developments, I went to a Lennar community on the outskirts of Dallas, where I met Sonia Nelson.
I was hopeful to build a nice community with neighbors, and what I found was that every single house to the left and to the right of mine are rental.
How does it make you feel that investors are buying up so many single-family homes?
It's very disappointing to me. It makes me mad, actually, because I think it's making the prices higher, artificially high, and then these communities are becoming more just rental communities.
Recently, Trump has been comparing big home builders to the oil cartel OPEC while pushing back on Wall Street landlords.
Homes are built for people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family homes.
But when I looked more closely at the executive order, there was an exemption carved out just for big home builders to keep selling entire subdivisions directly to Wall Street investors, which conveniently is the same model Bill Pulte invested in before becoming one of Trump's top housing officials. This may look like other subdivisions, but people here can't actually buy these houses. This is something called a build-to-rent community. Kendall Graves and his family have lived here for 4 years. Do you eventually want to buy a house?
Yeah, that's the goal, eventually. So that's why we're here right now, so we can save up and then eventually go out and buy our own home.
How does it feel to live in a community that is owned by an investor?
It feels kind of weird, I guess. We had an issue with our air conditioner one time. In the middle of summer, it took over 2 weeks for them to fix our AC. So we were kind of displaced and went and lived at our parents' house for that time.
Now that you're thinking of buying a home, saving up, what kind of house would you want to get?
Not a Lennar home, I'll tell you that. Not a Lennar, or probably not a D.R. Horton, just probably go with a better builder.
Wall Street-backed home builders decimating the single-family home has actually been going on for decades, which brings me to the final tactic in their playbook: build less homes.
Home building was very different 50, 60 years ago. You didn't have just one home builder in any community. You had multiple home builders, and they all competed against each other to build houses for people. That meant that we had plentiful housing, but things changed.
During the savings and loan crisis in the 1980s, a lot of local banks disappeared, which meant that many small home builders couldn't get loans.
But if you were a big home builder with, connections to Wall Street, capital markets, you could go public and get capital that way, which they then spent not necessarily on, being more efficient or building more houses, but on buying up more and more home builders and consolidating the industry.
As the industry consolidated, big home builders gained more control over how many homes get built. On Wall Street, they call that discipline.
Discipline returns with discipline. We exceeded the highest conditions in a disciplined manner. Disciplined and balanced.
DFW real estate agent Aaron Lehman has been seeing this firsthand. We're looking at new builds, right?
New builds.
And so that's actually lower than it was in even the late 70s.
Yep.
Why is that? Because it seems like there's even more people now.
Consolidation in the industry makes it more economically feasible for the builders to, throttle production.
Instead of more houses being built, there's been less. And when I've been listening to some shareholder calls, they're using this word discipline a lot.
That's one way to phrase it, and that's sadly what we've done to the housing market is we've turned it into, a plaything, a toy for wealthy people to, use it as an investment tool.
A Johns Hopkins study estimated that homebuilder consolidation reduced housing production by roughly $106 billion a year between 2005 and 2016. One way they've been able to slow down home production is by sitting on vast tracts of land. This piece of land is owned by Forestar, which is a majority-owned subsidiary of D.R. Horton. Through Forestar, D.R. Horton is able to control hundreds of thousands of lots that most other builders can't build on, which again is leading to less homes being built. Right now, our housing policies are structured so that the home is less of a place to live and more of a cash flowing asset for Wall Street. So how do we get out of this mess?
The good news is it's not an unsolvable problem. We do have solutions. We just need political leaders with the will to see them through.
To keep us from entering a society of perma-renters handing our checks over to private equity landlords, we need to get Wall Street out of owning single-family homes. Another solution would be to create better loans for small builders to make the market more competitive. Next, builders like D.R. Horton need to get back to just being builders, not mortgage lenders, land hoarders, and landlords.
Before the 1980s, the basic philosophy of American economic policy was we wanted communities to be able to govern themselves, and we wanted people to own property so that they would have a stake in the society. As the industry became more subject to control by Wall Street investors, they put home ownership out of reach for lots of people. But the good news is we can fix it. We've fixed it before, and we can do it again.
So yeah, so that was More Perfect Union. Again, if you don't follow More Perfect Union, you should. You should watch everything that they do. All of their reporting is insanely insightful and very grounded. It's not biased. It's just straight up fact reporting. So yeah, anyone joining right now, I'm also streaming live on TikTok. Head over to Twitch. I'm live on Twitch, so you can see everything we're talking about. And we're about to move to the fun part of today. So that's the end of my news. I promise. No more drags on the news. No bringing anybody down. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take anybody's opinions, suggestions on what games to download. So I'd like to be able to split the stream into two. Right? We do our news. We do what's going on, and then we can go do some fun things, right? So I'm gonna open Steam. Maybe not. Oh, I gotta double click it. I'm not used to having Windows anymore. I have Windows for the first time in a long time, so not entirely familiar with how to do anything anymore. I feel stupid. Yeah. So this is the games I have right now. I've played most of these already. Forest, normal thing, Devour. Swallowing the Blue, I don't think I've played that one yet. And Among Us, I don't think I've played this one either. Zardy's Maze, I haven't played that. So, wrap up today. Send me some suggestions. Go over to Twitch, follow my Twitch page, so that way you get notifications when I'm going live. I'm doing this every Tuesday and Friday from 11 to 1. I'd love to know what y'all want to... Uh-oh. Is there no sound? How's that? Is that better? Uh-oh. Shit. What happened? Can you guys hear me? Huh. That's weird. You do hear me on Twitch. Okay. It's not showing up. My mic thing is not showing up that any kind of desktop audio is being transmitted. But if you can still hear me, that's good. Hey, cuz! What's going on? I'm doing this. I'm on Twitch right now. Going live every Tuesday and Friday for a couple of hours. Just to talk about shit that's pissing me off. And that I think people should know about. Anyway, well, I appreciate everybody who followed and stayed through to listen to me yammer on about all these different types of things. Again, I think this VOD is going to stay up on my Twitch channel, so you can go watch it. Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm probably going to do like a TikTok thing to try and get people over to come hang out on Twitch. But I'm really trying to build my Twitch community. Like I said before, I'd love to do this full time. I think this would be a great use of my time, is just talk to people about what is going on, how to educate yourself. While I also educate myself, because I'm not an expert on any of this shit. Anywho, I don't really have much more else to talk about today, but if anybody has any gaming ideas or games that they want to see me play or things they want to see me talk about, feel free to put it in the chat, send me a message. Yeah, it's been really fun. I thought this was I had a fun time. I hope everyone had a fun time. You only play Fortnite? Okay. I don't think I've ever played a game of Fortnite. Ever. I do play Call of Duty. I know, I've talked about literally the fucking military-industrial complex, and I think the game I play the most is probably Call of Duty. I might play like 2 or 3 games of Warzone a day. But yeah, this was super fun. I hope everybody had a good time. I hope you learned some stuff. I learned some stuff. Yeah, and I will see y'all on Tuesday. I'll probably put out a little thing that'll just be like, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Eventually, I'd like to start a Discord when I figure out how the fuck to do that. And that way people can talk to me about things that they want to learn about, things that they heard about, things that they want to share. Yeah, and hopefully we can keep this growing and keep it going every week. So thanks for joining, hanging out, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Okay? Bye.